Alright guys, we're gonna do another manga overview. This time it is Kaiju number 8, story and art by Naoya Matsumoto. Somebody said to me, hey Marinus, you need to check this out, you probably like it. So I picked up a volume and I started to read it. So what is this all about? So, well, it's about kaiju slaying, right? So it is interesting. I believe there's also an anime coming out, or maybe it's already out. I'm not entirely sure. But, you know, like I said, I buy a lot of manga nowadays and I'm just trying stuff. I got manga here that does work. Some don't. Some is a little bit in the middle. What I came to realize that it's when it comes to manga, sometimes it takes a couple of volumes to get the story real going, right? And unlike, you know, Western comics, which is you open a page and it's just instantly clear, somewhat, about what's going on and where the story is going. Sometimes with manga, it takes a while to get the story. I mean, not that this is unclear, but, you know, to get to the juicy stuff, right? So basically, mostly in volume 1, they set up a little bit of the story, and after a couple of, I believe they call it tankobons, which means volumes, it really gets in gear and gets in high gear, or at some point the story clicks on somewhat. So yeah, this is from Viz Shonen Jump. So this is a shonen book, and I always thought, what is shonen? I believe that was just a name from the company, but it's some kind of a tag, like mature, kids, and everything in between and around. So this is more for all ages, I guess, or more for younger ages. But you know, me an old dude myself, I'm reading comics. I'm considering me still young, which is not the case at all. Anyway, so this is you know, monster slaying. So this is this town in Japan, or the Japan itself has been plagued by kaijus, and they're being slayed by mostly members of the 3rd Division, some kind of a military group that, you know, protects the citizens of Japan. And we also have a cleaning crew, which immediately I like, because instead of being thrown into the mix with, you know, soldiers and shooting and all that stuff, we're getting, you know, the cleanup crew. And I thought, hey, that's a cool, nice concept. And our hero is Kafka Hibino. Now, also what I like, he is not a teenager, you know, 14 years old that has the power of a god, which I always found ridiculous. I know that's a trope. I don't mind, but still, you know, and mostly those kids has also the wisdom of an adult that doesn't make sense at all. But you know, we have now a 32-year-old guy that works at the cleaning crew, right? And I mean, look at this, man. So yeah, they need to get dismantle, clean up this kaiju, right? And Kafka here is just a normal guy, right? He is not very intelligent or strong or has special abilities, or you know, he's just an average Joe, just like you and I, right? And there is something about him, and what I mean with that he is watching television here after his work, and he is looking at this girl. Well, it seems that he knows this girl. It's his childhood friend that makes it to the captain rank of this wait. I forget it immediately. 3rd Division, right? Because they made some kind of a vow together years ago that they're going to, you know, be in this military force protecting humans, and he didn't make it somehow, right? So he ended up in as a monster sweeper and you know, like the cleaning crew. Enter a newbie called Reno Ichikawa. He's 18 years old. And he's basically, you know, under his tutelage. And he says, hey, sir, why did you give up? And with gave up, he means that he... I'm so sorry. I just blanked Kafka. Kafka is, you know, tried to enter, you know, applied for, you know, being in that military force. He failed. And he says, hey, why did you give up? And he says, well, I gave my all, but I guess you could say competition is pretty stiff. everything's got a limit, you know, and I kind of crashed right into mine. Well, and he says, also, I'm getting old. But he says, hey, I'm not the type to give up. So as long as I live, I will never understand. Not that I would want to understand either. Now, and that hits some kind of a nerve with Kafka, right? So he is giving up really bad. And I'm not going through this whole manga, but I just wanted to show you what the story is a little bit about. So the first couple of issues, I just tell you about what it is and what you can expect, right? So, and he also is, you know, being a little bit, how do you say, petty, you know, ragging on this newbie a lot, so, right? And then, but after a couple of cleaning jobs, this guy says, hey, thank you for your help. I made it through my first day on the job. I appreciate it very much. And that surprised him. And he says, actually, one more thing, whilst he's walking away. They're raising the maximum age for new recruits to 33, for the defense force, that is. Has something to do with the declining birth rate. Now it's now it's your life and not really of my business, but you look pretty torn up when you were talking about how you gave up. And that, I don't know, sparked a fire in Kafka, but then this monster shows up. Kafka saves this guy, and he says, hey, run for it, Ichikawa, get out of here as fast as you can. And he says, send an alert. But yeah, they cannot get to do anything to get this, you know, to kill this creature. But then there's a flashback about, you know, him and his childhood friends, right? And they swore to go to the end and become an officer. And before this creature eats Kafka's face, he's getting, you know, rescued, quote unquote, by this younger guy. And he says, if I abandoned you, sir, I would never join the defense force. And we also see something in the past that he is, you know, that he didn't pass the exam, right? And they're getting saved. They're getting saved by the Japanese defense force. And it looks great, right? So, but it seems that these two friends are not really acknowledging each other, because he made a vow that he only can speak to her on equal foot if he is making to the defense force, right? So there's a lot of stakes in here, as you can see on his face. Captain Mina Ashiro. So then what happens? So they are being, you know, lying in a hospital, right? But then something happens, right? Because he doesn't want to run away. He says, I'm going to shoot for the defense force one more time. But before he can finish that sentence, there's this creature hanging over him, and it says, I found you. And it just, I don't know, goes into his body, and he then transforms into Kaiju number 8. And he says, what's happening? And they are freaking out. There's some humor in her too. And I thought to myself, oh no, why is this 32-year-old guy screaming a lot like he's 12 years old, right? But I don't mind. And it also is funny if you just freak through it, you know, or punch through it. And so yeah, there's a lot of panic here, but then he realizes that he's pretty strong. And they escape. And I love this shot here. So long story short, they are trying to hide. Kafka is trying to get back into his human form. But he is also afraid that he never get to join the defense force. But basically, he is now a kaiju, right? And so this monster shows up, and this little girl is being attacked. Kafka comes in, punches this guy real hard, and he's doing some jokes here, and this girl's more scared than ever. And he's, you know, destroying this creature with one punch. It's not One Punch Man, by the way. And he is this creature is obliterating, and he's in shock. And then we see this very cool shot that is, you know, raining blood. And yeah. So they're sitting down having a talk. And this little girl says, hey, Mr. Kaiju, thank you. And he says, I gotta get moving if I want to stand by her side. So yeah, that's really important to him. And of course, he's now in television. Now, going back to a little bit to the art, I don't think the art is that fantastic, to be honest. There's a lot of close-up shots. Not everything is detailed. The facial expressions is pretty much the same. But what makes this, I want to say comic, but it's not the case, manga really cool is the characters. So we're getting introduced to this very young girl who's come from a very privileged background, and she is super strong, right? And she's called Kikoru Shinomiya. Now, there's a whole story behind her, and I'm going to tell you a little bit later. Also, there's a lot of this involved in this comic as well, shown, which I really, really like. So we're getting introduced to all these new characters. And so basically, he is going to this training center for, you know, becoming accepted in this special force. And they also get some suits. And these suits are basically enhancing their natural powers, like stamina enhancement, precision, and all that stuff. And they have to battle in this training ground with real kaijus, right? So, and they can actually get hurt or even killed. So, oh, basically, this guy, man, this is something special. Anyway, so they are getting. They need to destroy this, and they have to prove their worth. So they're activating their powers, and this girl's power is, you know, I don't know, 45% or something. Well, let me see if we can show it here. So she has 46% power already that she can use, and he has 0%, right? So all of them are better than Kafka, and but Kafka has other specialties. He is a cleaner, so he knows the weaknesses and certain pressure points of these creatures that he can tell the other crew members, right, to where to shoot and hit. But then something goes wrong, and so this girl comes in, and she's pretty strong, right? And she's saving the day, but like I said, something goes wrong, and she's being almost killed. And then the town is getting destroyed. This is happening because there's now a new player into this training ground, and it's called Kaiju number 9. And there is something mysterious about that, right? So she's getting, you know, really, she's being damaged a lot, almost getting killed. And also she's probably the best of this whole group. And we see a little bit of a background that she's basically the best in her school, and she's having high grades. But then her dad says, top exam student, so what? That's how it should be. And basically, her father is not saying to her, hey, good, or very loving. No, you need to do better, right? You must become to be the best. Never stop moving forward. So there's a lot of pressure. And she's trying to prove herself that she still can fight. But she can't. And she says, I'm sorry, Daddy. And he says, Kafka comes in, you did a fine job, Kikoru. Because he's now transforming into this monster battling this new kaiju. The problem is that he didn't want to do it because, like, he wants to hide his kaiju form, but now he doesn't have a choice, right? So I thought, okay, this is interesting. So I'm reading volume 2 as well. And nobody knows except for his buddy, the other buddy, this guy. He's his friend. And he is, you know, trying to be better and better. New threats are coming. Now, the downside that I think, like I said, this is not, you know, the arts, but also the character designs or creature designs. It's not that good, I think. Now, why am I keeping reading this? Because at this point I thought, okay, is this everything this book has to offer? You know, monsters, kaijus, and defense forces. And this city. It's always in the city. It's a little bit boring to me. I wanted to, you know, see different locations. But then, oh no, remember Kaiju number 9? Well, he has a human form. So basically that other Kaijus were human. So this a big, some kind of a revelation coming later, I guess. And there's more to it than just monsters being, you know, attacking the city for no good reasons. And at this point I thought, okay, but this is not really fun for me anymore. I know it's a little bit samey. Then I read this one with this girl in it, and there's a lot of action here. Gorgeous pages in the beginning, by the way. I'm sorry. And yeah, things are starting to get going, man. And the art action is ramping up. The characters are getting more fleshed out, especially this one. He is more hand-to-hand combat. He is strong, he is fast, and he thinks that Kaiju number 8 is a threat. Later it's, you know, they're gunning, it's a little bit into spoiler territory, but I'm not going to spoil that one. But this, especially this Tonkabon, if you can call it, really clicked with me. We see more the friendships and being developed, and Kafka getting accepted in the fold, and he's now also trying to do his best to you know, get in contact with his friends. So yeah, this is really, really fun. It's, like I said, it's easy to get into. So if you are more you like manga or anime like Demon Slayer, Bleach, even Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm not reading Jujutsu Kaisen, but my buddy Justin Ferreira, check out his channel, is a big fan of that. If you like this type of manga, this is a very easy entry. It's easy to follow, and what stands out for me and what saves it for me is the characters. The characters are really fun. Not always. I mean, with fun, I mean, they basically look samey. None of them really stands out except for a couple like this girl, right? Who has a lot to prove. And we see that also they're the defeated, dissected kaiju are being researched. And that research goes also into the weaponry, basically making these fighters stronger and stronger and stronger. So yeah, it clicked for me. So I bought, you know, 7 Tonkabons so far, and yeah, look at this, man. It's great. Like I said, this not every page is spectacular because there's a lot of close-ups, and I wish there was a little bit more wide shots and more detailed backgrounds. But overall, the story is really fun to read. The characters are fun. And, you know, the threat with Kaiju number 9 and everything that comes after that is interesting. And so I really recommend this series for people that wants to jump in. And, yeah, that brings me to... Look at this. This brings me to basically to the end of this overview. So, guys, let me know what you think about it. If you are interested in that, or you can, of course, you know, watch the manga. I mean, the anime that's, I believe, being made. Yeah, I'm liking this a lot. So I'm gonna do more stuff like this. This is badass, by the way. Look at this. It's just really fun. Next up on my manga overview is not one. This is my last one. This is